Hello everybody, and welcome to my channel. Reiki with Anna. For today's video, we are going to be talking about boundaries. This is a video that I've had requested by a number of you many times, and it's been on my ongoing list of requests for a while. Thank you for your patience as I move through and tick off different items on the list that you've requested. You're all so amazing, and I truly cannot thank you enough. I cannot thank you enough for your support and your encouragement of me, of this space, and especially of each other. It's truly inspiring, so thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So I've wanted to do this session for a while, and it has moved to the top of the queue. So here we are. First, we are going to do a little bit of clearing with our selenite wand. And then we're going to light some incense and do a little bit of intention. And then we're going to draw the symbols, do some more clearing, and then we'll get into the session. So I hope you're all doing as well as possible. Sending you a great big giant virtual hug. Here's our trusty selenite wand. So as usual, we're going to start at the crown and then work our way down. I think a lot of people have a misunderstanding maybe about boundaries. I know there's a lot of misconception when it comes to setting boundaries. And a lot of these misconceptions can be very disempowering for those who are trying to set boundaries in order to invite in healthier relationships, in order to, depending on your history, if you have a history of being a people pleaser, being sort of walked on, trod over kind of thing, a yes person, any of that, and you want to end that cycle and you want to say, okay, here are a few boundaries that I have to set for both myself and others so that I can stop this cycle here. But I think sometimes there can be this misunderstanding that boundaries are selfish. And I sometimes think that that kind of disempowering talk usually comes from someone who was benefiting from you not having boundaries, from your lack of boundaries, and they don't really want to change. Change is so hard, so I get it, but boundaries aren't selfish. I'm not gonna reference this quote properly. I can't remember where I saw it. Maybe on a tea bag. It was something like, boundaries aren't about putting up walls, they're about showing people where the door is. I thought that was nice. So here we're just clearing anything that you might have brought in with you today. Excuse me. I'm not sure if you can tell, but I have a slightly different setup. So I'm able to move around a little bit easier, but it does mean that there's some maneuvering that has to take place. So change is difficult, right? It'll take me a minute just to get used to it, I'm sure. So if you're not familiar with boundaries and you're not familiar with this kind of work, what we're primarily going to be focusing on is the comfort and confidence in setting boundaries for ourselves. And beyond that, the ability to decipher our needs in different relationships. And then, one of the most challenging and important parts of setting boundaries, which is maintaining them. How many of you are struggling with boundaries right now? I know a few of you are because you requested this video. But how many of you are struggling now that I know so many of us are able to do some more social distancing hangouts? Are you maybe seeing family or friends more and you're kind of not used to that dynamic? A little dusty, and you're noticing that there are certain boundaries that you either have to set now or boundaries that you need to reestablish and maintain. I'm just curious. Or do some of you sort of feel like maybe boundaries would be the thing that could help me have better relationships? What are boundaries? Maybe that's you. One of the things that I like to do for my sessions is, because I work on sessions involving boundaries fairly often. Hi to all of my lovely clients. Big hug to all of you. Thank you so much for reaching out to work with me. It's a pleasure and an honor to work with all of you. Big hug. So, sometimes what I like to do is do some visualizations. I think that can be helpful with a lot of different things. In terms of mental maintenance, I think visualizations are very powerful. Okay. I'm chatty today. There we go. Lovely. Beautiful. Okay. So I have a little bit of this really nice frankincense. Just lighting this, and we will set our intention here using this beautiful smoke. So on behalf of our wisest, most empowered selves, In loving comfort and perfect balance, I wish to conduct this distance Reiki session for establishing and maintaining healthy boundaries, for getting to know ourselves in a deeper and fuller way, so that we know what we need from others. We know what we are able to give others, and we know what we need to give ourselves. Alright, so I'm now just going to draw the symbols about a foot from your heart center here, just muttering the words under my breath. Okay, and now we're just going to move through with this frankincense. Frankincense, incense. Yuck, yuck, yuck. So I'd like to begin placing a few different stones along your body, creating a sort of grid so that we can balance out and align all of the chakras, and then do some deeper work into a few of them. So I'm going to be placing these two stones to start out with on the outside of your hips, so on the outside of either hip. This is Septarian. I'm going to be using the other Septarian stone as well, but I wanted to play around with both. Septarian, I think, is probably the best stone for boundary work. Depending, I guess that's hard to say, but Septarian means wall. It's a great one for a staff. I know we just spoke about how boundaries are a door, not a wall, but you know, like the door is within the wall of the boundary that you're setting. Anyway, but yeah, this is a great stone for just really settling into the deep understanding that you are worthy of having your needs met. You are worthy of establishing what you want, what you need, and then asking for it. You are so worthy of that. And you are worthy of having people in your life, inviting people into your life who want to give you what you want and need, who want to support you in the way that you want to be supported, who want to love you and show up for you in the way that you want and need to be loved and supported, shown up for. So then we have pyrite here. And pyrite, for me, I love to use pyrite for prosperity and abundance and all of that, and luck as well. But I also like to use pyrite in the same way I would use hematite for its protective quality. It's got a great weight to it. It's reflective, so it's very, it can be a very protective stone, I find. So I like working with this and using it as a kind of protective, shielding energy. And I think when we are moving through the process of setting boundaries from a point of safety, security, feeling protected, we have a lot more freedom to establish those boundaries in a more foundational, stronger, more confident way, I think. So just on either side of your hips, just there. Okay. Now I'd like to just come through with this little clear quartz cluster and Fortress of Solitude. If you were here for my previous video, the crown chakra, I believe, which most of you were, because that video was just really popular. Because I think so. But anyway, so I'm just going to be moving through with this cluster and just activating those two stones, really giving them some nice pumps of energy here. Okay. Next up, I have this piece of carnelian. It's a little one. And this is going to be for emotional support. So we're going to be placing this on the sacral, and this is great for just helping you trust your emotions, because I think that if you're establishing boundaries for the first time, it can be really scary, and I'm not trying to implement this or put this, plant seeds of fear or anything like that. If you're not feeling afraid, that's amazing, and that's how that's a healthy way of moving through it. But if you are feeling afraid, that's very, very natural. Very often when we're setting boundaries for the first time, there can be a lot of challenges, a lot of obstacles, and a lot of them are emotional, and a lot of them are deep emotional trauma triggers. So this is going to just provide some extra emotional support so that you're able to, again, move more confidently and clearly in the direction of healthy relationships with beautiful, healthy boundaries that make you feel safe and cared for. Okay, so placing this 2 to 3 fingers beneath your belly button in perfect respect for your comfort and boundaries. Okay. Now I'm going to be placing this tiger's eye. I have 2 little pieces of tiger's eye, and I really want to get a big one because I love working with tiger's eye. But this tiger's eye is so great for fortitude, confidence, and high self-esteem. Feeling like you are deserving of all of these things that we've talked about. So I'm going to be placing this 3 fingers above your belly button at your solar plexus. So now for the heart center, I'm going to be placing this piece of pink tourmaline. And pink tourmaline is great for stress, for kind of soothing any stress that you might be experiencing. And I think that sometimes setting boundaries, particularly if you're not familiar with it or you're still building up that muscle, it can be very stressful. And I know at a time when so many of us are already experiencing an enormous amount of stress, we might need a little bit of extra TLC in that department. So I'm going to be placing this with all the respect in the world right at your heart center there. Okay. Now we have this HOTLINE. So one aspect of boundaries is about communication. And it is incredibly important, I think, when you're setting boundaries, to practice that strong communication. I think the most important thing is just trying to be honest and doing it, just doing it for yourself, setting the boundary, even though it can be challenging, and with respect and all of that kind of stuff. It's the details that can kind of make it more comfortable or a little bit less comfortable, depending on what you're moving through. So that communication, we just want it to be like tip-top shape when setting boundaries, so that we're not falling into maybe old patterns, especially if it's someone that we've had a relationship with for a long time, a family member or an old friend or a partner or something like that, where it can be very intimidating. It can be intimidating with new people as well, but I think communication is very important always. But with boundaries, I'm just placing this ever so gently right at your throat. It's right here. It's very light. It doesn't hurt at all. I really don't mean to frighten you with this communication chat. I hope I'm not. I think it's important to express yourself and learn how to express yourself honestly, especially in situations that make you feel uncomfortable. And I think the best way to do that is just to practice. You're never going to be perfect, because nobody's perfect, but I want you to have the confidence to go out there and try, knowing that it won't be perfect, knowing that it'll probably be clumsy and you won't do it the way you want it to, or you won't say it just right, but that's totally okay. Maybe this isn't something you're struggling with, but if it is, that sense of communication and openness, which is so much about what boundaries truly are. After we establish what we need, we have to figure out how we're going to get it. Typically, that involves communicating clearly, directly, respectfully with other individuals, right? So I just wanted to sort of emphasize the importance of communication, but we're providing support for that chakra here so that it can move and flow, and so we can invite a lot of freedom to this space for you to say what you want and what you need. Okay. And now this spiderweb jasper. And this is a great one for kind of seeing the bigger picture. Seeing through the trees, through the cobwebs, seeing what you truly want and how that plays into the larger framework of things. I've said this before here, but I love working with spiderweb jasper in the third eye. I think it's a great one for really meditating and ruminating on certain aspects that I might be feeling a little closed, maybe even a little egocentric, like navel gazing or anything like that. I feel like this stone really helps you to kind of see the bigger picture, see how everything connects to one another, the interconnectedness of everything, and how we can play into that in healthy or unhealthy ways. So it gives us choice, I feel, or it helps us become more aware of the choices that exist for us, I guess is a better way of saying it. So just placing that right there. Okay, lovely. And now, where did I put it? We have our amethyst cluster. I'm going to be placing this on the crown to invite in that spiritual connection, that connection to the divine, so that we have a sense of balance as we build this fortress around us. We are connecting above and below. Beautiful flow here. So just placing this ever so gently right at the crown of your head. All right. Now, I'd like to take a few different stones here and move them through your aura. Petrified wood. This is great for helping us feel those roots, grounding us in the earth. It's a great stone for centering, for stability, for ancient wisdom. I love this stone. And then another piece of septarian. The other one was sort of clean cut across, and this is a round piece. It looks like a dinosaur egg, doesn't it? I love this piece as well. I love chunky pieces that you can kind of hold or move through. Anyway. But yeah, this one is great for being able to see those very distinct lines. I'm just looking here to make sure it's in shot. So again, a great one for setting boundaries, for knowing your worth, for understanding the inherent value in your needs and your wants and in communicating those. So starting at the crown and just moving our way down here. Okay. I'm now going to be clearing with this piece of Montana agate. With this, I'm just going to move through and just sort of clean up any little self-doubt, self-judgment, any little voices that might be saying, yeah, but that does feel selfish, or yeah, but I don't know if I can do it right, or any little nagging bits that might be preventing you from speaking your truth with regards to boundaries. Are you feeling any doubts or confusion, fogginess or cloudiness with regards to setting boundaries? Are you getting mixed messages from people in your life about setting boundaries and whether or not it's a valuable practice? Clearing anything in the throat here. Anything in the heart. Are you worried you might hurt someone's feelings? Or lose someone you love if you set a boundary? If you're setting a boundary to protect yourself, to honor your wants and needs, then those who love you they will honor it. There might be a period of transition where they're trying to figure it out. But if you want to control someone else's experience or their opinions or thoughts or anything like that, that's a different thing. You know, we're talking about setting a boundary. I'll give an example. Setting a boundary for someone, let's take addictive behavior as an example. So if you are setting a boundary with someone who is an addict of some kind, and you're saying, I won't speak with you if you are using, whether that's alcohol or drugs or sex addiction or anything like that. If you say, I will not engage with you when this is happening. When you do this, it hurts me and I will not accept it anymore. I'm not going to tolerate that anymore. You can be in my life and I love you and I want you to be in my life if obviously the framework and the communication aspect of this, I'm not doing great at that right now, but that framework is something that you can really focus on and ruminate on before you have the conversation. I think it's very important and valuable to do that. But you will be loved. You are loved. You are loved. Okay. Anything in the solar plexus here, just clearing it. Clearing anything in the sacral. Clearing anything in the roots. It's a big one because it's one of the reasons that we're establishing the boundaries is to feel more grounded and centered. But very often our sense of fear, which is also in the root, can be triggered by this kind of open communication, this kind of vulnerable communication. Very vulnerable thing to do, to set boundaries, isn't it? If you are the person who recommended this video or requested it, I hope that you were able to move through setting boundaries in a healthy way. Or I hope this helps to validate or affirm your experience, or maybe help maintain the boundaries that you've set. Okay, very good. Lovely. Okay. I like little slabs like this. I'm now going to light a little bit of sage and just use this to kind of run through your aura and clear any of that might have kind of just lingered. Okay. Oh, it smells good. So any of that we just cleared, we're now just kind of purifying the space, cleansing your aura, making sure none of that stuck on, held on. And if anything here doesn't serve you or feels disempowering in any way, please leave it at the door. Do what's best for you, always. I don't know every situation, so yeah, you know what's best, always. You know what you need. This is just meant to be supportive and healing for this. And it's also empowering. You got this. You can do this. Even though it's scary, you can do this. You can do it. Okay, great. Alright, that's feeling really good. Now we're just going to move this here around a little. Nice. Okay, I have a little spray here. And this is sage and cedar wood in here. I think there's I put some rosemary in there too. Nice. I know I usually do that a little earlier. So we're just sort of combing through, seeing what's going on in the aura. I'm going to spray to your right. Okay. Spray to your left here. And down at your feet. Right, left. Okay. Okay. Now, I'd like to engage in a little bit of a visualization. I'm going to be taking this aragonite, which I used in my anger video. I use all the time for anger. I think it's a great one for anger. And I also think it's a good one for boundaries because it helps you clearly set. For me, I like to use it as a kind of, let me bring it closer. So if you see, it has these little shoots, and that's, from my perspective, a great little reminder and way of placing those feelings, like kind of compartmentalizing them without sounding oversimplifying it. It's more like organizing it, aragonizing it. Terrible. I'm in a cheesy mood today. But I think that's, it's a great, really, really great stone, I think, to work with for these kinds of boundaries as well. It's, I think, great for emotional regulation too. So I'm just going to kind of move through, draw some symbols and just sort of move through. And what I'd like to do, if you're comfortable with it, is just take a deep breath collectively, but at your own time and pace. Maybe take a few deep, rejuvenating breaths. And really try to imagine a fortress. With each thought, we are building the walls of this fortress. Let's say with each breath, we place a new stone to build this fortress. And within this fortress, we are able to invite in what we want. We get to choose what it looks like, what it smells like, the temperature, how it feels. So I want you to start, if you're comfortable with it, just imagining this space. And it can be a traditional kind of stately fortress. Or you can use fortress as sort of, a general term for a dwelling. But just knowing that it's not the little piggy with the house of straw. It's something that can protect you, can keep you safe in a way that you feel like you are in control of the energies that you allow in. How nice is that? And you are in control of who is going to exit. You are in control of when they are allowed to enter into your fortress and when they must leave. So just start to slowly visualize that. And the colors and inside. Who's there? Are there any rules in your fortress? Each stone is, judgment, let's say. So anybody who is going to be judgmental, they are blocked at that stone. You can also think about it like setting protective enchantments for yourself. And this one is, this space is free of patronizing energies, any condescension, anybody who's going to belittle you in any way. That's not allowed in my fortress. You can say, and this is all on behalf of your wisest, highest, most empowered and aligned self. Could say anyone who's going to give unsolicited advice, the other beautiful thing about boundaries is that they can, and they very often do, they even should in a lot of ways, even though I don't like using that word. But they very often will, let's say, change all the time. Because what you need is different. And the important thing is just communicating what you need, right? Or at least having that available to you. Okay. Great. So now that you are inside of this beautiful fortress, I want you to imagine that there are people outside wanting to come in. Maybe if this is your first time setting boundaries, it's the one person that you are going to set a boundary with for the first time. Congratulations. It is very empowering to do and very challenging. So I'm giving you all kinds of support. But if you want to imagine that individual, or if you are someone who sets boundaries often, or you've set a boundary and you just need help maintaining it, it could be that person that you need to maintain the boundary with, or multiple people. Whatever it is that feels kind of most pressing, that's who's waiting in line to enter your fortress. And now I'd like you to even come up with different ways that they enter. How do they know how to come in? How do you tell them that? You can tell them in any way you feel comfortable. If you feel most comfortable telling someone something like this in writing, that's totally fine. This is about your level of comfort, because that's really, in a lot of ways, what we're preserving. So, in writing, do you want someone else to do it? Do you want to ask someone else to do it? Do you want to say it and then say, maybe remove yourself from the conversation? However you need to say it for yourself. So moving through, obviously try and be respectful and kind, because I think kindness is just the most important everything in the world. The Dalai Lama says, I have one religion and it is kindness. I probably just butchered that, but that's the gist. So now, just start to play around with that. And you can start to play around with how far away these walls are from you. How large is your fortress? How far do people have to wait in that line? You know, how far away is that line from the entrance? It's just some important things just to sort of think on. And just know that as you move through all of this, I'm sending you so much love and support. Okay? Just going to draw the symbols on my hands and do some hands-on healing. Hooking my hand under your chin like so and placing my other hand very gently at the back of your neck. Not touching your throat, just hovering outside. Hovering above the heart center. the solar plexus here. Now the sacrum. And the roots. Just gonna fluff your aura here, and then we're going to seal the practice with our affirmations, and then we'll be all ready to go out and set these healthy, empowered boundaries to invite in more freedom, more comfort, more room and space for growth, and developing beautiful, healthy relationships, more space for love and self-care. Okay, great. Wonderful. All right. You got this. You can do it. I believe in you. You are divine. You are connected. You are expressive. You are loved. You are strong. You are creative, and you are emotionally available. You are safe. Say it with me. Say, I am safe. You are safe. Okay. I want to thank you so much for being here, for watching the entire video. Maybe give me a little, is there a castle emoji? I think there might be. Or write castle or fortress or something if you made it all the way to the end. I know many of you will have watched till the end and maybe fallen asleep, so this, there's no judgment. I'm just curious. I think that might be fun. So, castle emoji or castle or fortress. All right. Sending you all so much love and support. And until next time, be well.